Well, it's my pleasure to welcome back Lou Jasikof. Welcome, Mr. Jasikof.
Richard, thanks again for having me on and the ability to get this message out to your group and to all the patriots that I know that you guys are involved with. So I'm looking forward to this opportunity once again. So thank you.
Yeah, so let me just, you are the publisher of the Independent Gazette and Visitor Magazine. You exposed Kids for Cash and the Custody for Cash scandals here in Pennsylvania. Remind our audience what those both are about.
Well, when we got into this close to 10 years ago, 8 years ago, we were on 94.3 FM Natorko. We had a show there called Sanity Check for 5 years. We were publishing the Independent Gazette. And a number of the individuals that were part of our newspaper, and it was very much volunteer at the time, were our people that were very instrumental with the Kids for Cash, which we know was just brutally. We have judges still in jail for sending kids off to prisons for minor offenses, many for many, many years. And once again, listening to the show and the movie, and I encourage folks, if they don't know and if they could stand having their blood pressure up for a while, you could go to the movie. It's Kids for Cash. Just to give you one quick example, or maybe two, one of the children that they focused on, of the thousands that were involved with this, a young girl, 13 years old, got in an argument with another girl over a boy, 13 years old. It happens.
Right.
Volleyball class. She takes the volleyball, throws the volleyball, hits the kid in the back of the head. I want people to get this picture. The next thing you know, she is in court. She's standing in court. Mom and dad are in court. Been advised not to bring a lawyer with them because it'll aggravate the judge. Just imagine standing there, and I want people to get the feel of this. Your 13-year-old girl now is sitting and looking at this judge in this big oak room, way above everybody, and the next thing you know, she's getting handcuffed, shackled at the legs, shackled on the arms. It sounds bizarre. Mom and dad, like, what's going on? The kid is crying, mommy, daddy, what's happening? Why is this happening to me? 6.5 years later, she's in jail. It sounds bizarre.
Unbelievable. That
Unbelievable.
is
Another one. And once again, this is not theory. Okay. So hearing all of these things, all of a sudden folks came to us. We had
just to clarify, the judge was getting a kickback for each.
Yes.
These are young people being sent, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah,
and to private detention centers.
Okay, and these are for juvenile minors.
Yes,
okay.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, another girl, part of the movie, same thing, similar happens. There was no even interaction. They had an argument on MySpace when MySpace was around. I think that was 5.5 years. So once again, it's not conspiracy. This is not like it could have happened. But more importantly to me, and Tea Party Mike, when we had the radio show, we started questioning, like, this went on for 8 years. This went on for a long time. Who knew about this? Like court officers, lawyers, psychiatrists, all of these people that were involved, and yet we sent 2 people away, and supposedly they addressed it and fixed it. So all of a sudden,
how many? I mean, you gave 2 examples, but how many young people were sent off to prison for so-called crimes?
I believe it was in the thousands.
Okay. And this
Pick yourself up off the chair, right, and say, this can't be happening.
And this is in Pennsylvania.
Whoa, hold on. This is in Scranton. And
okay.
this is in our backyard.
Okay.
Yes, it's happening. Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. Is this happening in other states as well?
Or well, as far as the kids for cash, yes, there have been stories about it, and certainly people have complained about it. What is happening around the whole country is what we have dubbed custody for cash.
Okay.
When when I when we first had the first person that came to me and told me the story about having their kids or grandkids taken from them, it was I didn't believe it, Richard. I didn't believe it. I came from a law enforcement family. I had a good respect for law enforcement, still do. The judge, the judicial system. You figure, okay, what did you do wrong? And then
Right.
I had another person. And then I had another person. And then we started doing more research, and we broke that story. We wrote that story. Pleading for help, custody for cash. From around the country, Richard, there was so many people contact us pleading for help.
Okay,
Pleading.
this is the court system saying that you are irresponsible parents and we're going to take your child and give it to a foster family, or is that what we're talking about?
Very much so. That was that, or they would just, yeah, they would take the
Yeah,
kids and
now
put them into
okay,
foster
now
care.
I'm sure that given that we're living in the United States of America, you would have the chance to defend yourself in court and show that while you may not be a perfect parent, that you are responsible parents and you're able to defend yourself in court with your own lawyer. Is that what happened?
Very often, you should that should be the way it is. That should be the way it is. What we have found over the years is that's not the way it is. And here's the problem: we only get to hear one side of the story.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, there are children that need to be removed from families. I mean, we all know that. That's logical. I mean, that is,
Right.
but when you start hearing some of the stories that were going on, and I could relate some of those to you, only to try to point out how crazy this is. There's so much money involved with this system. Go ahead. Oh, I thought you were going to ask me another question. Okay. There's so much money involved. The people that are getting the money, the lawyers, the trial lawyers, the psychiatrists, a court, the list goes on and on. Plus federal money, which started going all the way back to Mondale and Bill Clinton, and the amount of money with children that were put into foster care, still put into foster care, extra money if they were. They had some kind of disability and stuff. And go ahead.
Yeah. So according to that like a law I guess passed when Bill Clinton was president, the local county gets money from the federal government
Correct.
when
Correct.
they take somebody from a allegedly abusive family and puts them into foster care. They get money from the federal government. I guess it must be significant amount. I don't know what the amounts are, but
And that is just the beginning, Richard. We look at these lawyers that are connected to the judges, and that's where I really want to get to this, because what happens is that we could tell a lot of stories and people believe it, don't believe it. I could tell you this: after we had broken that story, we were asked so many times to go to court, to watch the court hearings. Um, when you think about this, if you have to go to court, and I want to say this to your audience, I have no axe to grind. This
right,
is not like I am mad at the courts because they took my grandkids or kids. I've never been involved with the courts.
right,
I'm
right.
sitting here looking at this thing, not believing it. And I think that's important, because there's a lot of people that are wounded, and they do have an axe to grind, and they want to see some kind of retribution of how their families have been destroyed. And I could tell you they've been destroyed. Now,
Are they allowed to have a defense lawyer to defend their reputation? I mean, is that how it works in a family court?
very often, yes, or they're allowed to be appointed a a lawyer if they don't have the money to defend themselves. What we have found is that so many, it doesn't, it's a game. It's almost like I they're appointed, but the case is already decided, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and it's not I have to say, not a real defense, and to get to that point, I could tell, like, once again, I could tell you all kinds of stories.
Well,
We stopped go. I'll tell you exactly what happened when I stopped going into the courts, and we were getting thrown out on a weekly basis. Thrown out. Get out of here. Go.
because you were making a
Just
lot
showed
of
up.
noise?
Yeah. What's that?
You were shouting out during the court session? Why were you thrown out?
Just for sitting there. They do not want to be seen. What is happening does not want to be seen. Now, the last time when I finally decided not to go into the court anymore, and I think we finally got the transcript for this, because that's another whole story, getting transcripts.
Mhm.
They introduced the Independent Gazette as a reason. Think about this, as a reason for the parents to lose custody of their children, because they spoke to us. They introduced it as evidence.
Okay, that's the evidence. Okay.
The evidence, yes. I'm sitting in the courtroom. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the courtroom, and not the guardian ad litem, but the prosecutor in the case.
Right.
There's a name for that, and it just slips my mind here for a minute. I want to introduce the Independent Gazette into evidence as a reason, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this can't be happening in America. So let's just get back to the stories. I could tell you stories, and the time's going to go by.
Tell us a story. I'd like to get one example at least.
Okay, a guy comes to me. He says, "Lou, I was sent for 130 drug tests. 130."
Okay.
He says, "I don't drink and do drugs." I said, "Okay, well, I believe you, but I don't believe you." I'm honest with the guy. I said, "I need the drug tests." He said he went to the judge and told the judge, I believe the guardian ad litem, which is appointed attorney that they appoint for the child. I didn't even know what a guardian ad litem was. Is overcharging me. He says to me, he says, the judge told me I was delirious. He says, I need to go see a psychiatrist to make such an accusation. He said they sent me to a psychiatrist in Harrisburg, and he had the letter. I have the letter. And in the letter, the psychiatrist says, before you come see me, i.e. before you get to see your children again, you need to sign over all your HIPAA rights and bring a cashier's check for $10,000. In the meantime, I get the 130 drug tests. What you find out later on is that the mother, or the I forget, but a relation of the judge owns the drug testing company. People, I mean, it is so bizarre. So let us get back to the reason.
And how much does a drug test cost?
Oh, that's another 100 or 200, whatever they decide to charge.
Okay, so 130.
You pay for it.
Okay, so 130 times $100. I mean, that would be
$13,000.
$13,000. That's on the low side. If it's
yeah,
but I mean that's $13,000. That's not.
Richard, I have bags of people that have come to us, bags,
right,
cash receipts, $100,000. There's going to be a lady a lady coming to the, she has some medical issues now. She's in Montgomery County. She wrote a book, a millionaire to welfare. People have regular folks. Another lady, $100,000 in cash receipts. She turned them over to the FBI. You know what the court told her when she says, I can't do it. They said, get another job, borrow your money from your family, or max out your credit cards. Let's just say this. A lot of my friends don't even want to hear, you can't. It is really, really brutal. So let's just go ahead and say, okay, there is all these stories. Now you could believe them, not believe them, but here's the problem.
I imagine if you're more wealthy, you probably can afford to defend yourself better. If you're lower or middle class and you try to defend yourself, I mean, aside from the cost of these drug tests, probably traveling, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours each way. I don't know where the drug tests are. I mean, I could see how it could really be a big problem for a lot of people.
Yeah. Just Kim, I have to call you back. I'm sorry. That was my daughter, and she's overseas. So, but
Okay.
I apologize for that.
All
But
right.
let's just say this. That is just the tip of the iceberg, the very, very tip of the iceberg. Give you another example. Mom and dad are divorced. In the divorce decree,
Yeah.
The mom has the children for Thanksgiving. Okay. The father calls the mother, okay, and says, hey, my parents are coming up. Would you mind if I have the kids for Thanksgiving? The ex-wife says, what a great idea. That is a great idea. The kids need to know about their grandparents. Okay. Now the father has to contact the courts. Well, we'll let you see the kids, but we have to send over somebody to watch, to an observer at $50 an hour. So now you and your wife are fine. Everybody thinks it's a good idea. But
Right.
No, the courts say we have to send somebody over. Now during Thanksgiving, with you and your parents there, you have to have an observer sitting there at $50 an hour, cash. I'm telling you, it is brutal, brutal, brutal. And the only thing that I'm saying to you is that I don't want you to, you don't need to believe it. You do not need to believe it. Nobody that's listening to this, all I could say is, you're hearing me, and I'm telling you that it's brutal. Now, we talked about this on a weekly basis, Richard. Every day, every week on the radio, the 94.3 FM, the talker, which you're familiar with, people would come on, we would talk about it, and I finally started realizing that it falls on deaf ears after a while. People shake their heads saying, oh my God, this can't be happening. It is happening. And what happened 7 years ago is happening now. So I finally come to the conclusion, well, we can't just keep telling stories. We have to fix the problem. And the only way you fix the problem is have transparency in our court. If we don't have transparency in our courts, we have nothing. We have nothing. Give you an example. The state rep that's going to be talking at our rally here, which is April 27th, and he's going to introduce a bill.
Okay, let me show. This is an event on April 27th. What day of the week is that? April 27th?
That is a Saturday. It's at the Scranton Cultural Center, a great venue. And we have a number of folks coming to talk. We have advocacy groups that are going to be there. I believe attorneys that people could come and talk about their if they have had some issues with the courts. So yeah, this is and this is this is it. We got to change. We have to get to the core of the system. Representative Jamie Flick is a Republican out of Williamsport. He believes that he will have co-sponsors for the bill, and it will get out of committee. Senator Baker is or one our senator, local senator, is in charge, the chair of the judiciary. We've been told that it's a pretty good chance that this is going to come out of committee, and we're going to have real change. And let me just say this.
I mean, it should be a bipartisan support. Yeah.
It should be a no-brainer. We tried to do this years ago, 7 years ago, and it was Senator Greenleaf who was in charge of the judiciary at the time, and but he was part of a big law firm. He told me straight up, forget about it. He says, I will never let this out of committee, never. So this is what you know how the system works. You know all these things. So
and the bill is to have cameras in the family courtroom. Is that all courtrooms?
This is what I want. We're going to introduce a bill that puts cameras and audio in not only courtroom but in chambers. Now that might make people's head the hair to spin.
Oh, in the judge's chambers where he has private conversations with the lawyers.
Yes.
And you're recording what they say to each other. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Now, one of my friends said to me, he says, well, that is ridiculous. And I said, really? I said, are they doing more important work than, say, the president of the United States? He said, no, that's ridiculous. Of course. I said, well, there's a reason why they record what is happening. It's not to go out
White House. They record everything. I mean, that's how Nixon got into trouble, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Use it as a black box. So once again, I'm gonna say this. Okay, we know about all the stuff that's going on in the back chambers. We hear it. You had the tape, Biden tape, all this stuff. Like the IRS, all this stuff. There should be a record. There should be something that says when Richard Panzer goes in and says, when he's in the court and the judge is flailing his arms and he's telling you this and telling you that and that you're crazy and all these other things, and he says, strike that from the record, denied. Think about that. Now you go to an appeal court, they read a dry transcript that says denied. Oh, the judge didn't do anything wrong. What you're not seeing is the behavior, the bias, all of these other things that go on in courts. And that's all we're saying. We got to fix to the core of the problem. And we have a chance now, Richard. I'm all in on this. We got to have a bill. And what the Gazette's going to do is keep a scorecard. It might take a year. Might even take 2 years. But the people that need to change this is our state representatives. They're the only ones. They have to introduce a bill to force the courts to put transparency, and that's what we're looking for. We want transparency. I don't want this to be a YouTube sensation or people putting it out. Use it as a black box. And for those that say, well, maybe you don't want to be recorded. As a defendant, you could just say block it out. But think about that. Think about how the courts are operating these days. They're still using, I don't even know if they still have stenographers. Are you kidding me? I mean, with all technology, where everybody is under surveillance except where courts and justice is supposed to be administered.
That's a good, I mean, from what I hear, my cell phone is being monitored right now.
You're right. Exactly. And that, you know what? You go to Tunkhannock. They just did this in Luzerne County. If you have to turn in your cell phone and your smartwatch, and they lock it up, they take it from you before you're allowed to go into the courts. Why? Why? What are they hiding? And that's all it comes down to. If you appeal, here's the other thing. You as a defendant, if you want your transcript, maybe $500, maybe $700, maybe $1,000 to get your transcript, and maybe you get it 2 months down the road. The system is designed to keep the justice in the dark. I mean, we could go into lawyers. I mean, there's certain lawyers here. 50,000 is not, if you want to keep your kids, and if your money runs out, you're going to wind up losing the kids, because once that lawyer is not part of this. But these are all like, I know for a fact some of these judges that are on the bench right now, alcoholics. I mean, it's bad, and I'm not going to name names, but you know what gets me, Richard, and and then maybe we can move on to the next portion of this, unless we already blew through the half hour already. But you know what gets me? They all know it shouldn't be private citizens like ourselves. It shouldn't land on us to expose what the courts know, what our prosecutors know, what our media knows. It shouldn't they should be doing their job to expose this themselves, and they don't. I'll let everybody knows this. What I'm saying to you is what is not is well-known knowledge. They know the people that are on the courts. They're pointed to this. These are not like, like up when we say upstanding citizens. Yeah. They're all political employees, and it's just it's terrible. It really is, the whole system, and it needs transparency.
Well, I mean, you have my support. Tell us, where can people? What is do you have a website?
Yes, and if people want to get in, help out, if they want to be involved, come justicewatchtoday.com.
Oh,
justicewatchtoday.com.
Justice Watch Today.com. All right, let me show this. Okay, now you have another. Okay, let me just show that. Okay, I already showed the flyer, but what about your Independent Gazette website?
And the Independent Gazette, we're making a lot of changes. As you know, some of this technology, we're trying to transport independentgazette.org over, and we're having a hard time with that. So we had to change it to the independentgazette.org right now, and there's some changes going on with that site. But Justice Watch Today will get folks to know exactly what we're doing at this event. And it's a three-prong event, quite honestly. One is the cameras in courtroom, one is elections, and then the other thing that we're touching on, and we've had some response, is the immigration. These are the three, the border crisis. So at our event, we're going to be touching on all three of those subjects, and those are the three subjects that we're really spending a lot of time on over the course of this next year, and holding people accountable, our elected officials. We have big elections coming up.
Okay, so I'm showing the justicewatchtoday.com.
Thank you.
And there's more information there.
And as you scroll down and all that, people can actually just listen to. They don't have to read everything. They can listen to it. It's all audio. And court reform, election integrity, immigration policy. That's what we're going to be talking about.
This is happening on Saturday, April 27th.
Yeah, from 11 to 5.
Okay, that I mean, it sounds exciting. I definitely will spread the word for sure. Judge Judy supports the use. Well, she has experience being in front of cameras, so
yeah. Well, she was the one. I think using her words, not mine. I think she said it was a dumping ground for morons and political hacks. That's why they don't want cameras in courtrooms. That's her words, not mine. But
okay,
you know what?
All right.
There you go.
All right. Yeah. Okay, and then people can.
We send an invitation to her also, so you never know. You never know what's going to happen, because what's happening now is, as we get this message out, as we're talking to more people, I'm starting to get flooded every day. We have courtroomwatch.com. Courtroom Watch is an organization upstate New York. They'll be coming. I got some stuff on Brady on TV coming up from Ohio. And it's building, because what people know, not only do people know this is an opportunity, this is our opportunity to fix a problem. I'm not after anybody. Once again, I just want to I want to fix a problem and not tell the stories anymore, because telling stories, all that does is get people maybe involved and maybe get them aggravated or saying this can't happen. But how does that fix the problem? And that's why I was so excited about this.
No, I mean,
And
it's a great idea. I mean, I think, the problem is that, look, I mean, all of us have seen these TV shows about courtrooms and judges,
right,
and the judges, you know, they seem to know the law. They seem to apply the law fairly, and the judge is portrayed as someone who is righteous and
right.
competent. But unfortunately, it sounds like that's not always the case. So
It is not the case, and I'm going to use the words that lawyers love to use: precedent. We
yeah.
have precedent right here in River City, right in our own backyards here in Northeast Pennsylvania, that the children were not protected in the courtrooms themselves.
No, that is insane. I mean, for a little girl to be sent to prison for 5 or 6 years for arguing with another girl, I mean,
It's hard to believe.
that's science fiction territory.
And who would believe it? If I had told you, if I had come and just told you this, what would you say?
I would be skeptical. Listen, we have to finish up the program today, but I do encourage everyone to I do encourage everyone to come on April 27th to the Scranton Cultural Center, or go to justicewatchtoday.com. Any final words?
Thank you for the ability, and I apologize for the phone call here, Richard, but thank you for the ability and the availability to get this message out to your audience. And later on, we have a couple weeks. If you have another dead spot somewhere along the way, maybe we could talk about the other two legs of the stool, so to speak, that we're going to address at this event, justicewatchtoday.com. And that is, of course, elections. We're addressing the courts, we're addressing elections, and we're addressing the border crisis. These are three top things that really are on the top of the minds of most voters, and we just want to expose what our elected officials are saying about, so that we're informed, that the audience is formed exactly where people stand, and how are we going to fix the problem. I don't want to hear about the problem anymore. What are we going to do to fix the problems? Because we have a lot of them, as you know.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm just shocked that National Public Radio should be covering this event.
They all should be.
New York. I mean, all of the newspapers.
It's growing, and I believe they will. I mean, some of the local TVs and other radio shows and stuff like that. And as this moves forward, and once again, with the venue itself, it'll be streamed. It'll be streamed on whether it's Rumble, on Telegram, on Facebook. We're going to be streaming it live, but also videotaping it and using it as I guess a launch pad to say, let's fix a problem. This is for everybody's should be in everybody's wheelhouse, and everybody should be getting about with it. So
okay, and I'll encourage people to go to justicewatchtoday.com. You can subscribe, and hopefully people can donate to your work as well. I hope there's an
Richard, thank you for that too. And it doesn't even, you know what it is, even in smaller amounts, sometimes it gives you a boost. And let me say this, it moves forward to really keeping the Gazette and keeping as this moves forward, keeping a scorecard on these state legislators and our congressmen and U.S. senators on where they're standing.
Right.
Because we're not going to stop. We'll just it's going to keep coming, because that's what happens with the media and everything else. You know, what's the flavor of the day? Our flavor of the year are these three events, are these three issues.
Well, I mean, look, I think the American people have gotten a wake up about the lack of accountability for our government, which is supposed to represent us. They're not the dictator. They should not be the dictators and our masters. So I really support your work, and I plan to be there. Yeah, I'd
Awesome.
like to come. Yeah, at least one person. I'll be there. Okay.
Oh no, yeah, and I think as the time is building, we will have, and we're going to have the state representatives there speaking. I mean, this representative Flick has he'll be there the whole day to talk to people, to hear what they have to say, and this is our opportunity to say, you know what, let's do the right thing for the right reasons, and as you know, and our audience knows, once we lose respect and for the court system, I mean that's a cornerstone of our democratic republic.
Look what they're doing to Donald Trump. I mean,
Yes, well, yes.
and he's a billionaire, and they're screwing with him. Think about what they could do to the rest of us.
That's what this state representative says. He says, if they're doing that to me, I can't even imagine what they're doing to the regular folks. So we have some good synergy here. This is our time. This is our shot to fix a problem that needs to be fixed.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Okay.
Anytime. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.